D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick 1025, The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you on another wonderful day in our fair city.
Hey, something's different today.
What's
you know
that?
what it is? Willie has his hat on backwards. Uh-oh.
Willie, I can't take you seriously if you are wearing your hat backwards. Nothing you say for the next 3 hours will be taken seriously unless you turn that hat around.
I'm going to take you seriously, Willie.
I'm coming with some Ken Griffey Jr. today.
There we go. Smooth swing.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm going with the kid.
Iconic swing. There we go. So he's bringing some iconic things to us today.
That's an old school hat.
We're going to be hitting that bell a few times.
This is an all-star game.
2016 NHL all-star game hat.
I don't think it's 2016 because Nashville was 2016. It's whatever. I think it was Tampa. Let me see.
Oh, that's. Oh, okay.
Oh, NHL. Yeah.
2018. Tampa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like the Predators all-star logo.
Yeah.
But his hat's on backwards, guys. So take everything Willie says with a grain of salt.
Okay, and you can decide. This is where I put my material to the test. Yes. Because I can overcome the backwards hat. I believe that.
Okay.
And if people want to just write me off with the backwards hat, then my material is not that good, I guess. I don't have my A game.
I think
so this is going to motivate me to have my A game today.
I think
for the listeners, for the people.
Who let this guy talk? Come on.
Well,
David Janes, backwards hat today.
There we go.
Oh,
man. No,
Derek Mason.
Not doing backwards hat. Unless some things just.
With the hat on the right way.
Lose a couple more weeks in the underdog picks.
Exactly.
You might have to shake it up. You might have to shake it up.
Turn the hat sideways, man.
Week number 3 today coming up.
Yes.
And I do not have. No, I'll save it for later.
2 big winners this weekend, or this past weekend. Hal Gill and yours truly.
As long as it wasn't Chris.
No, Chris.
I couldn't stomach if it was Chris.
Chris did not come close to getting his pick right.
No. I thought man.
Hal was the big winner.
Yes.
Nick Frazier's Mississippi State Bulldogs came in clutch for me. They almost blew it, but then they
didn't.
But they did not.
They did not.
So thank you, Nick.
An enormous cowbell celebration. The cowbells were ringing throughout the game.
One
deafening.
One texter says, "What does Adam have against backwards hats?" I have nothing against backwards hats, but you may remember a manufactured controversy from several weeks ago about Brian Callahan addressing the team at the beginning of training camp while wearing his hat backwards. So that's what this is about.
It's a talking point.
That's what this is about. I have nothing against backwards hats. I'm not a hat guy. I have hats. I wear them seldomly. I don't like the way I look in hats, so I just let everybody see this bald dome of mine.
Let it shine.
Let it shine. Let it shine.
Well, let me rephrase. Balding, because I do have hair. I just choose to shave.
I mean, I got some hair too, but I'm bald, brother, just like you. We can talk about the hair we got, but if we would have let it grow, it wouldn't look like what we would want it to look like, would it?
I mean, you're the one that's let yourself gray.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I'm embracing it. You know,
a little salt.
Yeah.
I think Nick Frazier said you look like Lovie Smith yesterday.
I just can't wait for it. No, he didn't. Nick
that was big.
Yeah.
My bad.
I don't.
My bad. Somebody did.
I look like myself.
You do look like Derek Mason.
I look like my son 40 years from now.
He wishes.
Yeah, he wishes. No, he looks much better than I do. He's a handsome kid. It's a mixture between his mom and I. More his mom than me. But, but I'm embracing it, man. I can't wait for it to just all go white, just stark white. I'm waiting for that day. It's like, I can't wait. A lot of wisdom in this beard. Willie's had it for a while.
Yeah, I've had plenty of salt.
That's a lot of wisdom. We've got a lot of wisdom. Well, at least he has 4 more years than me.
Yeah,
that's
I'm a little older. I should have a little more salt. A little older. Hopefully, a little more wisdom.
As far as I can tell, you're both old, so it doesn't matter the age difference.
You're all older than me, so that's all I care about.
That's true. I'm old too. Nick Frazier and David Janes back there, and Connor Newt, who, whenever Connor,
he's a child. He's a baby.
Whenever Connor, I love Connor. Whenever Connor is on the air, my first thought is, why is it take your child to work day? I didn't get that email. Love you, Connor.
Oh, Connor
Never-
can't wait till we get on the mic.
Nevertheless, the Tennessee Titans, they're done with practice today. They were on the practice field as they prepare for the Los Angeles Rams and the Titans home opener at Nissan Stadium this Sunday. Not spotted at today's practice, according to Jim Wyatt of the Tennessee Titans, J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat, Quandre Diggs, and Khalil Mullings. The first two names on that list, J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat. Something to monitor. The injury report has not been released. We know that J.C. Latham is dealing with some sort of hip issue. Tavondre Sweat was shaken up at the end of the Denver game. So those two situations bear monitoring. We will bring you the injury report when it is released, but just keep that in mind. So, as we know, Cam Ward faced a difficult set of circumstances in week 1 against Denver. Never mind Brian Callahan's bizarre coaching decisions. That was also a unfortunate set of circumstances. But I'm talking more about what the opposition presented. We know that Denver, I said Denver for some reason. Denver is one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. There's the altitude. There's also the fact that the Denver Broncos have arguably the most ferocious pass rush in the NFL. Well, it's not going to get too much easier when the LA Rams come to town this weekend. The Rams have two young, excellent pass rushers in linebacker Jared Verse and defensive end Braden Fisk. Verse was the 2024 Defensive Rookie of the Year. Braden Fisk, a fellow rookie last season, finished 3rd in the Defensive Rookie of the Year race. Fisk had 8.5 sacks last season. So another challenge for Cam Ward and the Titans this weekend. So here's how we are going to start. 615-737-1025 if you want to get in on the conversation. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Willie and Derek, after struggling against the Broncos, how can the Titans help Cam Ward against another menacing pass rush this weekend?
Well, let's give a little more insight on the Rams because remember where they were a few years ago. What was the saying about their drafts?
F them picks.
Yes. But here's the ironic thing. They have had the rookie sack leader 2 years in a row with the two guys you just mentioned. And Verse is a guy who I think is a very good reporter, Albert Breer. That is his pick for Defensive Player of the Year. So they've moved on from one of the greatest interior linemen of all time in Aaron Donald, and they've rebuilt this great young defense. I don't know how they did it, but that is how you draft, right? That you see what it does when you draft well. You can sustain success, rebuild quickly. I thought for sure the Rams were mortgaging their future when they did all the F them picks. Didn't you? Like I thought it was like they were selling out. They had Stafford who was, and they're still going. They're still going. So it is going to be a big challenge, I think, especially because I think we can say for certain, even if Latham plays, he is fighting something. And they may have a tough decision to make is, do we put in the backup who is not good at all? Or do we try to push Latham through and have him deal with this hip? I don't like that. Sounds like something's going to linger for a while.
If I am reading this correctly, the Los Angeles Rams did not have a first-round pick between 2017 and 2023. They drafted Jared Goff, number 1 overall, from the Titans with that big trade.
Right.
And then they did not pick in the first round again until 2024. And their first 2 picks of the 2024 NFL draft at 19, Jared Verse. At 39 in the second round, Braden Fisk.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
And they've got other guys who are also young pieces that are really helping. And now the question for them, of course, is how long will Matthew Stafford hold out? He seemed to get through last week. I don't know if he was really great, but I mean, they scored 14 points. I didn't watch everything, but with him in there and their offensive acumen plus this defense, some people think that they're a Super Bowl contender. You guys buy that?
I am skeptical of a nearly 40-year-old quarterback with a back problem. Chase brings this up all the time. Our friend Tim Hasselbeck once said, according to Chase, I don't remember Tim saying this, but Chase said he did, so I believe Chase. Have you ever met somebody who had a bad back, who got over a bad back? I can't remember the exact phrase. Nevertheless.
Right. It stays with you.
Right.
This is going to be an issue for
Right.
him. It's going to have to be managed throughout the rest of his career.
So when we made our when we made our predictions last week for the NFL season, I don't think I had the Rams making the playoffs. And a lot of that had to do with Matthew Stafford's back. So I guess I don't see them as a Super Bowl contender, but I know other people do. Derek, what say you about the LA Rams? When you walked in, you said you took a look at the tape. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Houston Texans in LA 14-9 to open the season. So when you look back at that game, what did you see?
I saw a team that didn't do anything special. You're right about that front. It's mainly the two linebackers, Landon and Spites. Omar Spites, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, and then obviously Verse and Young on the outside. Those two guys, the two rush ends get to the passer. I think Brian Young may just as well be the best guy. I know Verse, he's won the awards, he has the accolades, but if you watch the film, at least this last game, I would be more so worried about Byron Young a little bit more than Verse. Byron Young gets to the quarterback, he collapses the pocket from the outside, and he does well against the run. Where you're going to beat the LA Rams is running the ball up the middle. That's how you're going to beat them, because their linebackers, they're good. Omar Speets, he's a fast guy. He doesn't seem to – he's not one of those guys that really want to muck it up. He wants to use his speed to get around blocks, hit those gaps, and make tackles, and he does it very well. That's another thing. They are a good tackling defense. You don't get many yards after a catch or, beyond the line of scrimmage after contact. These guys tackle the ball and the opponent very well. So you got to be on your A game. But also, they ranked 20th as of the first game of the season. Once it was done, everybody was done. They were ranked 20th against the run. They're giving up 4.2 yards per carry. Okay, that's where the Titans got to expose them. They can't get in this where those two ends can pin their ears back and rush the passer. The Rams didn't blitz a lot, so I'm not sure if they will use that same tactic against Cam Ward, but they didn't blitz a lot last week. Do they blitz a lot against Cam Ward? I don't know, but they're not doing anything special. What they're doing is they're playing the defense the way it's supposed to be played, and they're making a tackle when the ball's in front of them. That's what they're doing, and they got an interception, but Houston, it was a hard-fought game, but I can't see the Rams. The Rams are definitely not the Denver Broncos. They're not.
By the way,
as far as their defense.
By the way, Dylan and Antioch corrects me on the Tim Hasselbeck. It's, quote, have you ever met someone who used to have a bad back?
Yeah,
right, there you go.
That's the quote.
That is the quote from Tim Hasselbeck.
They're not as good. They're fast. They're disciplined. But I don't think they're as good. I don't think they're near Denver when it comes to defense. When you watch both of these defenses, there's a big difference between how Denver plays and how the Ram plays. The Rams, they tackle very well and they're disciplined. Denver has some straight players on their side of the ball. Aggressive players, and you can see it. They just play their lanes, they're disciplined, they tackle when the ball's in front of them. But you can, if you put yourself in a position where it's second and medium, third and short, you are I think you will have a better shot at winning the game than when it's third and 6 or 7, and you got to pass, because they're not going to do anything but pin their ears back. And those guys from the outside, they're going to rush. They're not going to blitz because they don't have to blitz.
They also, on paper, do not have anywhere near the same level of player in the secondary.
No.
They don't have a Surtain. They don't have like that. That is where Denver is really good. They can bring the fifth guy. They can be, because they have enough guys who can get to the quarterback with 4. but they can blitz. They feel confident with the guys in the secondary. The Rams do not have that type of personnel. That was a problem for them last year. They can get after the quarterback, but it will be different matchups. That's why I'm hoping they can find more easy plays. Like that, nothing came easy for Cam Ward through the passing game. I'm hoping they can create a few more easy completions against this team.
To Derek's point about the Rams not blitzing much, I know Derek is not a huge fan of analytics, but I do have some numbers to accentuate what Derek just had to say. According to the NFL, the Rams blitzed on only 23.5% of the Texans' dropbacks, but generated a 75% pressure rate when doing so. So they didn't blitz much, but when they did get to CJ Stroud. Last week, Cam Ward was 0-6 for passing, 0 for 6, sacked 4 times when facing blitzes. He was the only quarterback who failed to complete a pass against the blitz.
That's why they got to put themselves in second and medium and third and short, because a team that doesn't blitz a lot, they look at the past tape, they're going to find a way. It may not go from, 27% to 80% or 70%. It may go from 27 to 30, but they're doing it different. So the Titans have to be aware of that, which means this team, you can run the football on them. If you get a hat on the hat, they can be moved. The problem is getting a hat on the hat. After watching last week, they did some things good on in regards to blocking for the run, but they also left some yardage out there as well. So this week, they can't leave yardage out there, because this is a team that you can run the football on.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. How can the Titans help Cam Ward against another ferocious pass rush this weekend? The Rams, they've got some guys who can get to the quarterback. So what can the Titans do to help Cam Ward after what happened in Denver last weekend? 615-737-1025. We will continue the conversation next and take your reaction. Later today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds take on Gwinnett at First Horizon Park. The first pitch is at 6:35. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds Baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure.
All right, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. Remember, I've been telling you about the rate reduction home loan program. It's a big hit. Streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars a month, because the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years are out there right now. And Loan Pronto is locking their consumers in to, for example, a fixed rate as low as 4.99% APR. You can close on this in as little as 2 weeks, and you're out of your next 2 house payments entirely. So how's that for the fall budget as we move forward? So save money in the short term and the long term. Rates this low are not going to last. So call Loan Pronto now for the free, no obligation quote. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Lock into that low rate and skip the next 2 payments. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
How does this Rams front compare stylistically to what you guys saw last week in Denver? And just are there adjustments that need to be made?
No, there's adjustments, sure. They play there's a little more variation in the front styles, in the front alignments. They do a lot of different alignments up front for them, in both their base personnels and their sub packages. The edges are powerful, and they play really hard. They're a high effort group, but it's a different style than the edges in Denver. Those guys were a little more speed rush up the field. These guys got a little more power and ability condensed, and they set pretty violent edges too. They're really good at it. So different style rushers, but still really talented. And really physical is the thing that I think stands out, is just how physical they are. And on the edges and in the C gap, they're good at it. So different style, but and still very good players though.
That was Brian Callahan earlier today, comparing and contrasting the pass rushes for the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Rams. Rams at Titans on Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, talking about how the Titans can help Cam Ward. After week 1. And I want to discuss this because I do think that fixing this could go a long way in answering the question that we are posing to all of you at 615-737-1025. Cam Ward averaged 10.8 air yards per attempt last week, meaning the distance the ball traveled in the air. Simple as that. An average of 10.8 air yards per attempt. That led the NFL in week 1. Cam Ward on passes of 10 plus air yards, 1 of 12. So anything intermediate or deep, he completed 1 of 12 passes. So Brian Callahan must devise a game plan that eases the pressure on Cam Ward against another aggressive defensive front. And I believe knocking down that number is part of how Brian Callahan can do that. What do you think?
Well, first of all, you got me going on the I had a flashback when you said compare and contrast. I felt like I had a blue book in front of me and there was an essay question on a test from back in the day, like final exam, like compare and contrast back in the colonial era, or something like that. I have this one. This is where the numbers, I think, match the eye test a lot. There were a lot of plays that I saw at D-Mace when Cam Ward is back there, and there were a lot of critical plays. For example, the two back-to-back sacks that took them out of field goal range, where you're thinking worst case scenario, they're going to take a 15-13 lead here, and everybody at Mile High Stadium is really going to get the tight, I won't say it, get tight, get nervous.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want on the road as the underdog. You could have really made them nervous, and they screwed it up with the back-to-back sacks. And one thing I noticed with that and a number of other key plays, I kept saying to myself, where is the outlet? Where is the easy throw to get something, right? To allow him to release pressure and get some easy completions. And I don't know if it's just the overall offense, but that's what I would like to see. But I'm not an offensive coordinator. It's just something I noticed.
Yeah, another thing that can help them out, because to me, it's all about those hidden yardage that you get, whether it be on punt return, something may happen on defense that you don't expect, but those are hidden yards, hidden plays. Right now, there's something that's going for the Tennessee Titans. Drive against or drive for. This team starting their own starting point, they're one of the tops in the NFL. The one was because of the big run that DK had, which put them over 30 yards, 32.5, 33 yards. That's good starting point for a young quarterback, because now contrast that to the LA Rams. Their own starting point was 21.1 yards. That puts them behind the 8 ball already, which means they have to travel damn near 80 yards to score a touchdown, 40 to kick a field goal. When you're starting at the 30, 35, 40, that's a different space. That's good space for a rookie quarterback. Why? Because 2 plays down the field, 2 first downs, you're in field goal range. When you're starting on the 20, you got to get 3 or 4 of those first downs to be in field goal range. So the Titans need to keep doing what they're doing from a return standpoint. 30, 35, try to get up closer to that 40, because it makes my job as a coordinator, and it makes my job as a young rookie quarterback a lot easier. I can't tell you how many times guys still talk about, the starting position we had each and every time we came out there on offense because of what we were doing on special teams. That is a big boost, not only for the offense, but it's a big boost for the offensive coordinator as well as the defense. So keep that in place. That's one way they can help out the young quarterback. And then 2, like I've said it, run the football. This is a team, they're stout, but I feel up the middle, you can run the football. You got to stick with the run and make it second and manageable, third and short. That's how you help a young quarterback.
By the way, according to Stoney Keeley, who is a solid Titans analyst, the Titans were at an average of 3rd and 11.5 on Sunday.
Can't have
3rd
that.
and 11.5.
And the Rams are good on 3rd down. The Rams are damn good on 3rd down.
And the Titans gained an average, according to Keeley, of 2.5 yards on 3rd down on Sunday.
Well, you just think about it. There was a lot of times where you can think of the specific situation at a key time, and you're like, how are they going to get this? But that's despite having great starting field position, as D-Mace was just talking about. They had the turnovers. I heard them say at the end of the broadcast, when they got the ball back, they had the ball in plus territory to start 5 different drives, and they ended up with 12 points. So they were in advantageous positions and still got backed up behind the change. That wasn't a good sign.
No, it wasn't. And again, you can't make it 3rd and 11, because playing against a team like the Rams, they showed last week. Houston had 9 attempts and only converted 2 of them, 22%. The Titans, conversely, you didn't convert many 3rd downs. Why? Because they were 3rd and long. You have to put your quarterback, you got to make sure you put your quarterback in a position where you have, it's a twofold play. You can run it if you want to on 3rd and short, or you can pass. But once you get into 3rd and 10, 11, 12, 13, the likelihood of him converting that 3rd down goes down tremendously.
I also think that Cam Ward, still in his DNA, his mindset is to attack down the field. I do think he has got to adjust at this level.
They talked about that early in camp.
They've been talking about it even when they were scouting him at Miami, that he has a tendency to try to go for it with the attack. Well, you could see that. And there were plays that when you really go back and look at the film, he had a guy for an easier completion that may not have gotten the first down, but it might have turned a 2nd and 10 into a 3rd and 3, or 1st and 10 into a 2nd and 3. To me, that to me is the key to A, not getting hit as much, B, staying on time and moving the chains a lot better. But I think the play calling has got to reflect that some. I think they need to call plays that give him some, condition him to take the short throws, take the easy ones.
I'm not going to say that this offense, he's calling the wrong plays. But what I do see, because the Rams run sort of the same type of offense, if I'm not mistaken, their offense, which is the same, there's a noticeable difference. And I'm not even talking about the talent. There's a noticeable difference, because I think Calvin Ridley on the Rams would get the numbers that Puka Nacua got last year and will more than likely get this year. Why? Because the offense runs so smooth and the quarterback is so conditioned to hit that back foot and release it. If he's not releasing it, it's because there's good coverage, but he's anticipating everything. But that comes with being in the NFL for a long time. Matt Stafford's been in the NFL over 10 years. So this offense, he's been in forever. So he can anticipate. And if you're not there, it's not the quarterback's fault. It's your fault. That's how this offense needs to run, because to me, there's nothing, after watching the Rams, I thought I was going to turn on this tape and I thought I was just going to see this, guys looking fast. And I turn on the tape and I'm like, they look like an average offense. But everything runs so crisp. Like when Matthew Stafford hit that back foot, a lot of times he's throwing it in rhythm, and these guys are running into the hole and catching the ball. I talked about with Calvin Ridley, that one play down the middle of the field. I mean, when he ran the in route and he dropped the ball. That's what the offense is supposed to look like. Soon as you coming out that break, as you coming, the ball's coming. Why? Because everything is fluid now. You can catch it and run. Why do you think the LA Rams have so many yards after the catch? Why? Because the quarterback gets it to him in phase and he can run after it. The Titans offense right now doesn't look like that. And I expected that, but I hope it gets better moving forward because you expect the quarterback to be a tick late. And I said that yesterday. He was a tick late. You could just see it. He was late. I'm hoping that watching that film and Callahan drilling it to his head, I would show him the Ram film and say, listen, this is how it's supposed to look. Hit that back foot, and it's up to, I was always told, it's up to the receiver to get where you need to go, where the ball needs to go. If he's not there, then you got to turn and go to the next guy. But you can't sit and wait until he come in that hole. He has hit that foot. He got to be running with some speed. Hit that foot and turn in there. While the quarterback hit that last step, boom, is in a hole. That's how the Rams run their offense.
Chris on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, same badass play calling, but he doesn't mean badass like good. He means badass like
bad.
Same bad ass play calling as last year. I'll say same bad / ass play calling as last year, and no halftime adjustments. We are going to average 12 points again like last year. Chris, give them some credit. The Titans averaged roughly 18 points per game.
And that was the most in the last 3-4
if
years.
It's 12 points. They take it a few steps back.
So, Chris, give them some credit. It was actually 18, not 12. One texter says, as Levis proved, changing a quarterback is as futile as a woman fixing a man.
Huh?
What? I mean, I'm not touching that. We can go on to the next one.
It's like the trope in the movies. He's broken. I can fix him.
Well, everybody think they can fix everybody. Guys think they can fix girls. Girls think they can fix guys. That's just the way the world is. You know?
That is
GMs
true.
thinking they can fix quarterbacks. It happens.
But what's interesting is, fans love a quarterback who can just chuck it down the field.
Right.
By the way, the leader last season and air yards per attempt, the only quarterback who reached double digits in that category among qualified passers, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was the only quarterback who averaged double digits in air yards per attempt last season.
So and Patrick Mahomes was
near the bottom,
near
like
the bottom.
6-ish.
And you remember how they had to be very creative with their issues and injuries and things like that, where he was not throwing the ball down the field like he was years ago when he had Tyreek Hill. So there's different ways to go about it. That stat in and of itself is not the end all be all, but it matches the eye test with Ward in that he is definitely attacking down the field. And that's a good thing to have, right? You want that ability, but at the same time, there's got to be a balance because you can't have the lack of success. 1 for 12 and all the third and longs. That's not a formula that's going to work.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your answers to this question. How can the Titans help Cam Ward against another ferocious pass rush against the Los Angeles Rams this weekend at Nissan Stadium? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll talk about the offensive line performance and how the line can help, because I've seen a lot of different comments about the performance of the offensive line on Sunday. So we'll get to that next. The Vanderbilt Commodores will take on 11th ranked South Carolina this Saturday. FYI, Eli Stowers will join our program tomorrow. But Vanderbilt will face South Carolina this Saturday. Pre-game starts at 5 o'clock on 102.5 The Game, and kickoff is at 6:45. Vanderbilt football is brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops.
when you watch the sacks, there's a couple of them of him just holding the ball. That's the speed, the adjustment of the speed of the game. You think about how many times at Miami he would be a statue. Like he would just sit there, feet in the ground with that great Miami offensive line. Yeah, that ain't happening here. So he's got to speed up his process a little bit. They got beat. I mean, gosh, Cushenberry got killed in this game. Latham, I think, was hurt. I haven't seen the update on that, but he was laid off the ball all the time. He struggled. But he had 3 drops down the field. I thought that the biggest takeaway watching him throw the ball was he made two plays on scrambles, but that's not who he's going to be or how he's going to be with this team. He's got to play on time. When he played on time, back foot, ball gone, he was okay. That's Baldy. I think that's just kind of the speed of the game thing for Cam. He's just got to get adjusted.
Well, there probably couldn't have been a worse defense to start with than against Denver. I mean, Denver had as many 5-man rushes as anybody in this business because they know they can hold up on the back end. Mm-hmm. And so all it takes is Dan Moore or or Cushenberry, somebody to get beat by Zach Allen or Benito, whoever, was winning the one-on-ones. And now he's under pressure. Now it's speeding him up. And so they are relentless. Vance Joseph does a great job, but he's got great personnel. Hufanga really showed up in that game, immediately. And so I just feel like, man, try to find a weakness in that Denver defense and then have the offensive line to be able to hold up so a guy can at least have 2.5 seconds to go find a receiver. He didn't get many of those opportunities.
That was the Move the Sticks podcast. Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks talking about,
and that was a special guest, Brian Baldinger,
yes,
at the end there, who's I think very good
at
breaking down the film.
Willie, you brought that clip to our attention, and there has been a lot of attention on the performance of the Titans offensive line against the Denver Broncos. And as Brian Baldinger said in that clip, the Broncos pass rush, probably the best in the league. Again, the Broncos led the NFL in sacks last season. Cam Ward was sacked 6 times in week 1, most of any quarterback. He was pressured on 50% of his dropbacks, according to the NFL. And Pro Football Focus has a what's the word I'm looking for here? A statistic called offensive line pass blocking efficiency. The Titans ranked 28th in that category after week 1. PFF charged the offensive line for 12 pressures, 6 hurries, 4 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. So Pro Football Focus attempts to, for lack of a better phrase, place blame on the players who directly contribute to sacks against. They gave Ward 2 of those 6 sacks. They put 2 of the 6 sacks on Cam Ward. They put 1 on J.C. Latham, 1 on Ali Udoh, who came into the game after Latham left with an injury, 1 on Tony Pollard, and then I believe 1 was a coverage sack. So that's how they decided who was to blame for the 6 sacks.
There's a couple of things that jump out to me. Daniel Jeremiah is a scout, basically. So he was evaluating also with the knowledge that he referenced that he had watched all of his tape at Miami last year. So I thought that was interesting perspective. Number one, we were talking about this a lot when Cushenberry was working his way back. You have to hope that there's better days ahead for Cushenberry coming off of that Achilles and being in there day one and playing against that front. I am not surprised that he struggled. Nor should we be surprised that Dan Moore struggled. He may not have been 100%, but this is life in the NFL, right? It's the job. They've got to be better than they were. But I think you can convince yourself with some of these things that it will get better as long as Latham is not on the shelf and this hip thing is not an issue for a long time. We don't really know if that's going to be the case. The other thing that I thought Jeremiah pointed out, he did not have a rushing attempt. Remember, he had the one play where Dan Moore was called for holding that he made a great run. He early in the game, it was about a 15 or 20-yard run. And I'm like, wow, there's Cam Ward mobility. But he doesn't really use that very much. And I'm wondering if that is something, they don't really roll him out a whole lot. So it becomes essential that he does do what Jeremiah thought he did well when he did it, and that is stay on time, do your drop back, hit the back foot, and the ball's out. They had much more success when they could keep the timing that way.
They can't incorporate him. I think, once Tajay Spears get back into form, they don't want to be in the business of running Cam Ward. Cam Ward is not a quarterback that is looking to run the football. He only runs out of necessity. The long game he could have hit a pass catcher a little bit earlier, but he didn't see him. His eyes were a little bit slow. He chose to run. He got a big chunk, but the run was called back because of a holding call. That's who Cam Ward is. Cam Ward is going to try to find enough time or buy enough time to throw the football rather than run the football. He has to learn, because everybody sees it. He has to learn that there has to be this mental clock. You got to speed it up. You're not at the University of Miami any longer. You don't have offensive linemen that are just superior than their defensive counterparts. That's not how you're rolling now. Now you're rolling with an offensive line that has been put together, and they are working their way into what they hope they can be. This was a line that has been awful the last 2 seasons. So Cam has to speed that mental clock up. And I'm sure Brian Callahan and everyone on the coaching staff, especially the offensive coaching staff, really, they're trying to sear this in his brain. You have to be a little bit faster. And from my experience, the good ones, they adjust. It may take them a game or two, but eventually they adjust. It may not always be perfect, but they understand. They see what the coach is seeing. They're watching it on the film, same way the coach is watching it, and they understand. I got to pick my pace up a little bit more, because when I'm late, it makes everything late on the offense.
Here's another one. Adam, you mentioned one of the sacks was put on Pollard, right?
Yes.
Pollard is a good pass catcher out of the backfield as well. He's also a veteran that knows how to pass protect. He's pretty good at that. But what about the balance too, D-Mace, of creating some of these outlets by, instead of keeping Pollard in as a blocker, release him out so you maybe can get some quick throws. Like sometimes that they're keeping guys in and they're still giving up pressure, right? So what's the best way to go about that? Like the max protect part, like you could see Ward throughout the game moving the protection. He was praised for that by Callahan, but I would like to see some outlets where maybe some screens or something like that to try to relieve some pressure where you're not having to do max protect all the time.
They have to, they've tried to throw a few receiver screens, but I think as the season goes, you'll start to see them, because teams are just going to blitz, especially if Rams, who don't blitz, have success when they do blitz. Best believe the next opponent is going to blitz them. So how do you sort of squash a little bit of that or temper a little bit of that? Well, you hit them with screenplays with the running back. You let them get up the field, bend their ears back, hit your screen. You go for 20, 25. That will stop some of that blitzing. But, I mean, to help this offense, I was told that every offense has an outlet. Every passing game has an outlet. There's an outlet for a quarterback. There should be, at least. Whether it's the running back, tight end, there's an outlet. If your first 2 or 3 guys are not there, there's an outlet. They got to find a way, which I know they will. They got to find a way to mirror the running game with the passing game. They got to find a way to do that. Where the run, because I was looking at some of the Rams plays, and if you just look at it, it looks like a run play. It didn't end up being a pass play. That kills that makes those linebackers sit in the box just that extra second, half a second. A half a second is about 2 yards in the NFL. So when you have those linebackers just sitting in the middle for a half a second, that gives me the ability to get over the top with the tight ends, or to get over the top with the receivers running down the middle. But you have to mirror your run game with your pass game. I don't know if they're doing that or not, but I would like to not look at the play and not know whether it's a run or a pass. Some teams are really good at that, and some teams, they have to work to that. I think the Titans, because of all the new faces, I think they got to work to that. But that's what you want to do. Mirror your run game with your pass game. So everything that we run, you don't know whether we're throwing the ball or passing the ball.
J.C. Latham did not practice today. He is nursing a hip injury that caused him to miss 12 snaps in the game on Sunday. I have yet to see the injury report. When we have that, we will bring it to you. But I'm wondering what's going to happen if J.C. Latham can't go on Sunday. Ali Udo came in, as I called him the other day. Ali, not my finest moment, but I guess I liked it enough to repeat it in case you missed it the other day. But
Ali, oh no.
Ali, oh no.
Ollie,
Either
ruh-roh.
one. Either one.
You go with it however you'd like. Oh no, ruh-roh.
Okay, for now it's then if it continues, then it's oh no. And if it gets like it was last year, it's
Ruh-roh.
well, we're going in phases here.
Okay. Anyway.
I like that better.
But
Is Ali going to be better than Nicholas Petit Frere?
the bar is on the floor.
Yeah.
The ceiling is not the roof
No,
when
it's
it comes
not Michael
to
Jordan.
No.
when it comes to this. The bar is on the floor. But it would be disappointing and a little concerning if JC Latham is unavailable on Sunday.
Especially because I think we were trying to set the stage for our expectation of Dan Moore.
Mm-hmm.
We knew he wasn't great, even though they paid over sticker price to get him because he was the only guy with his experience level and games started that was out there. So they knew they wanted him. They wanted to make sure they got him, so they overpaid. And he got eaten up. But that's going to be like every week he's going to face the elite rushers in the game. So he's not going to look great all the time. I hope he can do better though, right?
Well, they're going against two good
Really
edge
good,
rushers,
yeah.
not elite edge rushers.
But I mean, you got 2 games against the Texans. They've got a great pass rush. Like you're gonna have a lot of other games like this. They have to find a way. They have to improve on the sack. Like one of our 10 Titans questions was how many sacks are they going to give up? Not off to a good start.
Man, 6.
6 in the first game.
Man. 6 times 17.
102
That's a lot.
off the top of my head. 102.
That's a lot.
That's more than Giants a couple years ago.
That's I'm sure that would shatter the record. I'm sure
that would have to be a record.
Yes.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans. But coming up next, there are 2 critical college football games in our state this weekend. Well, one is in our state. The other one is in South Carolina, but it involves the local collegiate football team. We will dig into Georgia, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, South Carolina on the other side. 615-737-1025. 1025 The Game has teamed up with Pella Windows and the Nashville Humane Association for a puppy pet adoption this Saturday at Pella, 256 East Main Street in Hendersonville from 10 to noon. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/events.
Derek Mason here, and if you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you in an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW Tigers or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson. You can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace Fingan and Donick 1025 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Be listening at the end of this segment because I will give you the cue to call at 615-737-1025, and you can win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach at the First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. So if you want those tickets, be listening at the end of this segment for the cue to call at 615-737-1025. By the way, gentlemen, I have discovered the record for most sacks allowed in an NFL season. The Tennessee Titans are on pace for 102 sacks allowed after allowing 6 against the Broncos. Can you take a stab at the record?
Can you give us the decade?
The 80s.
Ooh, okay. So you're talking about the Giants back then. They were always sacking the quarterback.
These are a lot sacks allowed. Right?
No, but I'm just thinking like the teams that were really good at getting to the quarterback.
The 85 Bears.
The Bears.
Oh, boy.
The Giants. Oh, man. Who wasn't good at protecting back then?
I'm going to say it could be a team from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm thinking Tampa, Detroit.
Tampa had some bad teams
Detroit.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they were in the division with the Bears.
All right, quickly, give me a team.
93.
And a number.
I will say it's not the Lions. I will say Tampa at 94, giving up 94 sacks.
Really?
Okay, I'll say Tampa at 90.
You're both wrong completely. The 1986 Philadelphia Eagles allowed 104 sacks.
Who in the hell was the quarterback then? Was it Jaworski?
Randall Cunningham.
You know who the coach was? Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan. Ooh, yeah.
That was his first year, I think, because he left the Bears after 85 to take the
Ron Jaworski started 9 games.
Jaws.
Randall Cunningham started 5. Matt Cavanaugh started 2.
No wonder they went through 3 quarterbacks. He was getting sacked too much.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Man.
So Jaws and Randall Cunningham were the quarterbacks.
What was the deal? Where was the block?
Man, where was the block? There was none. They were gone.
Game scheduled. There wasn't even 17 games.
Man.
Bring it up with offensive
Was it
coordinator.
16? It was
Ted
16
Plum.
games back then, or was it 15?
It was 16.
Yeah,
they went
16.
5-10-1 and
No
allowed
wonder.
104 sacks. So the Titans are on pace for the second most allowed at 102.
I'd have just kept running the ball. Damn with that.
Man,
100 and something time.
100.
that's
104
what,
times.
7 per game or 7 per game?
Yeah.
16 into 100 and whatever.
Quickly, here are the all-time leaders in the. You don't want to be on this list. The 1986 Eagles 104, the 2023 Giants 85, the 1997 Cardinals 78, the 2002 Houston Texans 76, the 2006 Raiders and the 1987 Eagles 72
Wow.
apiece.
So the 1987 Eagles really improved.
Yeah.
Yes, by 32.
But still gave up 72 sacks.
Correct.
Oh man.
So
And just think, they didn't pass the ball a lot back then.
no,
What was going
no,
on?
they did not.
Man, so
Let's
how-
in 87 too was the strike.
was it the
year.
strike? Oh,
So there were
okay.
3 games
Yeah.
where the Eagles were not really
the Eagles. Yeah.
Were they the Steagles?
No, they were the replacement players.
Okay.
That was
They were
There
not-
was
that
a
was
replacement Eagles.
that's a 30 for
Okay.
30
Yeah.
there.
The Regals?
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can call them the Regals.
They weren't
The
very regal.
Philadelphia Regals.
Yeah, well, they weren't
Yeah.
very regal in terms of protecting the quarterback. All right.
Definitely.
So there are 2, I would say, massive college football games, critical college football games in our state this weekend. Tennessee plays host to Georgia. College game day will be in Knoxville this weekend. And Vanderbilt on the road against the 11th ranked Gamecocks of South Carolina. We talked to Clark Lee earlier this week. We will talk to Eli Stowers tomorrow. So looking forward to that. But I want to start here on a story written by David Ubben at The Athletic about college football's first de facto quarterback trade. Joey Aguilar, he's off to one hell of a start as Tennessee's starting quarterback. Nico Iamaleava,
Not good at all.
bad.
Mm-mm.
Bad.
0-2.
As David Ubben writes on The Athletic, quote, 4 months and 2 games in, No one upgraded their situation as much as Aguilar, who took the reins of one of the most quarterback-friendly schemes in college football. And no one has taken a bigger hit than Iamaliava, physically, fiscally, and any other -ly on the board. Iamaliava is at risk of becoming a cautionary tale in the name, image, and likeness era. What do you make of that?
Well, first, I think I've said all along that the ones that surprise me the most, that I think are getting carried away with the system, are the ones that are playing and in a good situation and still thinking the grass is greener on the other side. That's where I think that's the mistake. I can understand if you've been backing up for a year or 2 years and you see a better opportunity, then that's the game now. That is natural, that is normal. But when you're already the starter and you come up with all this stuff, and it gets into a lot of detail. David Ubben, I think, he found a very diplomatic way to write this article. He could have absolutely body slammed the Iamaliava family, because David Ubben was a reporter in Knoxville for a long time. He knows a lot of people over there. And it really does. He does slip in there to the article that there are a lot of people in Knoxville that think if it was up to Nico alone, that he would not have pushed the envelope and let it get to this, that it was the family, the dad, that pushed it. And it is not looking good right now. UCLA is not a good football team.
Nope.
And he made the case that, well, they weren't protecting Nico, the offensive line. Well, the grass is not greener on the other side. It mentions the state taxes in the 2 states as well. So monetarily, that's a big penalty there. But really the story this week is Aguilar, because this is his chance. This is now his first real test. They're starting to sell his jerseys. They're getting excited. They're getting more confident. Whereas early on, it was like, who is this guy? He came from where? Well, oh, I guess we got to take him. We don't have anybody else. To, hey, this guy might be better than Nico, right? It has changed in a hurry with this. But it also can change back in a hurry, because Georgia's defense, we know, is going to be as good as any he faces this year.
By the way, Derek,
Mm-hmm.
couple of things. One, Iamaliava has been pressured on 41% of his dropbacks, more than any other Power 4 quarterback. And UCLA is 0-2 before it has played a single Big Ten game. And I don't believe either of UCLA's games have been particularly close. I know the game against Utah wasn't. I made that mistake.
And then, well,
they played UNLV last week, if I'm not mistaken.
They did, and they rallied late to sort of make it close, but they got way behind in that game. Dan Mullen, by the way, coaching UNLV. Did you guys know that? I was seeing him on TV and everything as an analyst, and I'm like, I know who that guy is. Wait, that's where he is? But UNLV got the win.
Also, Derek,
at the Raiders Stadium.
Georgia has won 8 consecutive meetings in its series with Tennessee, all 8 wins by at least 14 points. I know that Josh Heupel hasn't been there for all of them, but he has been there for, I think, was it 4 of them, if I recall? That sounds right. I don't know.
I think so. Let's go.
Either way, Georgia has won 8 consecutive meetings in the series.
Yeah, I think Tennessee, whether you are a fan of the quarterback, Aguilar or not, in this offense, he's going to generate yardage. Before he got to UT, he was around a 59% passing, percentage guy. Last year was actually his worst at 55%, 57%, somewhere around there. Comes to UT and everything sort of kicks up in gear. Well, that's the offense. That's what's going to happen, especially with inferior teams. You're able to run up the score. You're able to, because we've seen it the last 3 or 4 years with UT under this system. Whoever they put at quarterback, the yardage is going to come. It's when they start playing those upper echelon teams. That's when you separate sort of the guy that can run the offense the way it needs to be ran, Hendon Hooker, and a guy that couldn't run the offense the way they need to be ran, Joe Milton last year. Where does Aguilar fit in between those two guys? I think he's probably somewhere in the middle, but we'll get a really good test from a Georgia football team, in particular their defense against this UT's offense. Again, They're going to put up yardage, and they may even put up points in those yardage. But it's I always look at how are you facilitating the offense? How are you hitting these guys? Because once you start playing, tougher defenses, they're going to take some of this stuff away. Some of it is just the giving. You're going to be able to hit it because of the way the offense is ran and you spread in the field. But as you start to play better teams with better secondaries, it makes those windows just a tad bit tighter. Still open, but it makes it a tad bit tighter. Will he revert back to the App State quarterback, or will he continue to develop within this hypo offense? I don't know, but this is a good test. Now, as far as Iamaliava, I got it right.
Iamaliava. There you go.
There we go. Ava had to get the Ava right. He made the decision. The decision he made wasn't to win college football games, people. I'm telling y'all. It wasn't to win college football games, because he probably could have went somewhere else for less money and been winning now. This is about them looking at their offense. Again, it's working, and it's supposed to work. It's college football. I want to win games. I ain't preparing you for the NFL. You do that on your own, okay? No, seriously. You do that on your own. Nico and his family, probably more so his family, looked at it and said, we want to get you to the NFL. And the last time I looked, UT hadn't developed a quarterback in 3-4 years. The two that came out there, really one got cut, and the other one is a second or third stringer, still developing as a guy, as a quarterback. They looked at that and said, we don't want that to be us. Maybe they chose the wrong school to go to, as far as trying to develop a quarterback, because you went into a worse situation. Why? Because the talent isn't there. And I don't care how much better you think they will develop you as a quarterback. If you don't have the talent, you don't have nobody to throw to, how much development are you going to get?
Well, if you're on your back and getting pressure,
exactly.
it doesn't matter what offense you're running. So that's one to watch. They're also playing in front of smaller crowds. It's not the same situation. There's not the same spotlight. But on the other side, back to Aguilar, the narrative has changed so quick. I'm wondering how he handles it. He's gone from a complete no-name to a guy that was getting squeezed like, oh, man, I was coming to UCLA. I thought I had a good situation. Now what do I do? And next thing you know, he's quarterback at Tennessee. And he's got some confidence now. The team seems to believe in him. The fans are getting behind him. They're selling his jersey now. In this article, they talk about that. But this is really the game. If he goes out and plays well, and you just mentioned how few times Tennessee has been beating Georgia. It's like 13 out of 15, too. It's not just the last 8. Georgia has had their way with Tennessee for a while now. If Aguilar leads them to a win over Georgia, it's going to be truly the Cinderella story for sure. But it also could go the other way, because what was the rap on him throughout his college career? He's turnover prone, right? So Georgia is going to test that much more than Syracuse and then East Tennessee, whatever that they played. But he's done everything he can to get to this position here. It's going to be great theater no matter what happens.
Do not disrespect the East Tennessee State Buccaneers, Willie Donick, who lost 72-17 to Tennessee last week. The Vols, by the way, have 7 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns in their first 2 games of the season. The only other FBS school with at least that many of each is USC. So the points have been flowing out of Knoxville.
And they may not have to score a ton, because Georgia's offense has got some question marks. They've got a quarterback question too. Gunnar Stockton, who was the guy that came in for Carson Beck last year when Beck got hurt, and he gutted his way to the win in the SEC championship game. In the playoffs, he looked, he's not elite. Now he's gutsy. He can run some, but in their first 2 games, which have been against nobodies, like Georgia's been lying in the weeds, right? They played Marshall, and then they played Austin Peay, Austin Peay's very good for their level, but they hung around in that game a lot longer than they probably should have against Georgia. And Georgia's offense has not really clicked. Stockton really, I don't know how much they really believe in him. This is a huge test for him on the road. Now, he's played in these big games, which should help him. But, man, if he goes out there and lays an egg, This is an enormous game in the SEC storyline here.
So this is indeed the 5th matchup of Tennessee versus Georgia in the Josh Heupel era. And Georgia's defense has played incredibly well against Heupel's offense, according to Seth Emerson of The Athletic. The number of points Tennessee has scored against Georgia in each game under Heupel: 17, 13, 10, and 17. So Georgia has figured out, at least in the first 4 matchups, how to shut down the Josh Heupel offense.
And I think Josh Heupel in the last year or so, and he got a lot of praise for this last year, he realized that his best way of winning was not the super high tempo and the let's see if we can score 45 and give up 40. The strength of the team is more of the defense. Now they've got cornerback issues. They got a couple of corners that are banged up, but Georgia has really struggled to getting the ball down the field. So this might be a game that you try to win, D Mace, more like 17-10 or 20-17. It's not. I don't think it's likely to be a shootout based on the defenses and the quarterbacks.
Yeah, but can Josh Heupel slow his offense down that much? Can he be patient enough? Because this offense is all about tempo, getting you out of position, getting you winded, and they're going and going. They're not talking. They don't shift. They don't downshift. This team shifts up each and every quarter. Can you be patient and stay at neutral, or stay at 2? Can you stay at 2? Because 2 may get you what you're saying, Willie. It may get a better, a game that's a little bit closer. You try to crank it back up to 5. Can you beat Georgia? Run it at a 5. I don't know. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can. But to ask, Josh Heupel system to throttle it down that much. Ooh, man, that's something that you want to try to build up to. You just don't do that against a team that can also score points in bunches.
Right. And another aspect of this, of the tempo and everything, especially now that you're facing a real defense, a high level defense, is we're going to find out if Aguilar actually understands and reads defenses better than Nico, because that was a big complaint of Vol fans, that Nico, as talented as he was and as pretty a ball as he's capable of throwing sometimes, really didn't understand the nuances as well as he's going to need to, especially if he's going to have the pro aspirations and live up to being he's one of those 5-star recruits. And I read a pretty interesting article recently about some of the 5-star recruits in his class. Arch Manning is one of them. There are a lot of ups and downs on those guys, which always tells you it's not an exact science about these guys coming out of high school. But if the theory that Aguilar might be a better college quarterback, that's what's going to put that theory to the test against Georgia, because Georgia has done a pretty good job of they've got the personnel to do it, number one, but they've got a better feel. Even when Tennessee had Hendon Hooker and they were running up and down the field with the high tempo, they had the better tools to stop it than just about anybody. I mean, they've been the best, as good as anybody in the country for the last, 4 or 5 years.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Tennessee's matchup this weekend against Georgia. College game day will be in Knoxville for the first time in at least a few years. How are you feeling about the Vols matchup in a critical game against the Bulldogs? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we switch gears. We head back to Nashville, although the game is in Columbia, South Carolina. Vanderbilt, a gigantic game of its own against South Carolina. We will discuss that coming up next. But before we do, I promised a giveaway. So be caller number 4. Caller number 4 at 615-737-1025, and you can win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach at the First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. Caller number 4 at 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, Chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some news, and it's good because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Jackson on our text line says, Papa Roach, what year is it? 2001? It is 2025. And a lucky listener just won a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach at the First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. If you want an opportunity to win those tickets, try again tomorrow because we do have another pair to give away tomorrow. We just talked Tennessee, Georgia, Vanderbilt on the road against the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks. Vanderbilt coming off of an incredibly impressive performance at Virginia Tech last weekend. 5 touchdown drives in the second half, completely shut down the Hokies offensively as well in the second half. And now they have a huge test of their own against Lenora Sellers in the Gamecocks. And to borrow a phrase I heard from Corey Curtis this morning on Next Man Up, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But if Vanderbilt can go on the road again and pull off an upset against the Gamecocks, things are looking good for the Commodores to be 5-0 headed to Alabama at the beginning of October. But Willie, based on what you saw from the Commodores, and I know Coach Willie does not like putting the cart before the horse. Coach Willie, very much against putting the cart before the horse.
Coach Willie will not put the cart before the horse.
Coach Willie, anti-cart before horse.
I'll distract them. You put the cart before the horse.
Okay.
Adam.
No disrespect to Georgia State, which defeated Vanderbilt last season.
Yes.
And Utah State, the next 2 opponents after South Carolina, before Alabama. But based on what you saw on Saturday in Blacksburg, what gives you confidence that Vanderbilt can go to Columbia and pull off what would be a big upset against the Gamecocks and their Heisman candidate quarterback, Lenora Sellers?
I think what we found out so far is that the theory that Mitch Light put out there before they played Charleston Southern, that they had improved personnel-wise from last year's team. If you think about the guys that were critical to their success last year, I'll give you the nucleus. I'll leave some names out. But Pavia, Stowers, Cedric Alexander, Patterson, Rinaldi, I almost said Robinette.
Wasn't it 75% of their production returned last year?
A lot of it. A lot of it.
When you watch if you watch their team this year, when you watch their game against Virginia Tech last year, you were trying to write down, okay, who's this guy? Where is he from? Have we had, you were getting used to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you watch them, there are a lot of familiar names, like Fontenette. The kid that number 29, the edge rusher, like he made the big play last year, the strip sack in the critical time against Alabama. He's back. They've got a lot of the key guys back, but they have also added very good offensive linemen, or at least promising looking offensive linemen. They look like they've improved there. Trey Richardson on the outside is an element they did not have last year. Speed, shifty, he's already made some big plays. So they look like they are better than they were last year. So this is going to be a great test. South Carolina was one of the few teams that I thought just physically overwhelmed Vanderbilt last year. Vanderbilt was really good, even against a Texas, even against teams that beat them. LSU on the road, they hung around in the game. They were very good at finding ways to hang around and be a gnat, and they pulled off some wins. But South Carolina kind of overwhelmed them physically. That's what I want to see this year going into South Carolina, is can they match up physically up front, all O-line and D-line. That's how they blew out Virginia Tech. They dominated the line of scrimmage against the Power Four. Now, Virginia Tech, I think, is going to have some issues. I think they're probably a middle-of-the-road ACC team when it's all said and done. So let's not confuse Virginia Tech with the greatest Virginia Tech teams, right? They've had some pretty good teams over the years. This is, I don't think, one of them. Their coach is on the hot seat right now.
Will I pick Old Dominion to upset Virginia Tech this weekend? You can find out in roughly an hour.
That's your prerogative. That you have one choice and you have the first pick, right? The whole board is yours.
I got to rep my Monarchs.
Yeah.
Shout out Norfolk, Virginia.
Now let's talk about South Carolina for a second.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina has played Virginia Tech, who hung around in the game. Virginia Tech was hanging around there. A big punt return touchdown swung the game. And that same guy returned 2 punts for touchdowns last week against South Carolina State. All that to say, Lenora Sellers and that offense, at least in the 2 games, and I can't tell you why, and I'm not saying that he's not a Heisman Trophy candidate, because he was awesome last year down the stretch, especially in Nashville against Vanderbilt. He was awesome. But that offense hasn't clicked yet. That's kind of scary on some front, but I don't know why. I'd be curious to know why the South Carolina offense has not really rolled. Even against South Carolina State, the numbers weren't great.
No, they wasn't. What I saw from Vanderbilt was a team that became, at least, last, game or two, you saw the physicality in them. It seemed to be, they were a much more physical team than they were last year. Now, last year they had to ramp it up to that, the methodical season. They had some big victories within that season, but I think they are who they wanted to be at the end of the season last year. They've started off the season like that. They're more physical. They have more physical presence up front, both on offense and defense. Diego Pavia is seeing the field a lot better than he did last year. He's hitting some shots down the field that we didn't see last year. And he has big play potential on that field. He has speed. That kid Richardson, it's pretty fast, man. Trey Richardson, pretty fast, man. That kid can flat out. He's a baller too. So now you have strength, you have the physicality, but you have speed now at the positions where you need to have speed. And Pavia is now seeing more of the field than he did last year. He still have the capability of scrambling and making plays. We saw that also too in the first 2 weeks. But now I think he's seeing the field a lot better. The test is, can he see it even better against a better defense, supposedly a better defense? Now, the one glare against South Carolina, they're not good on third down. So with Pavia's ability to scramble and him seeing the field a lot better, if you get it in third and manageable, third and short, I'm more inclined to say Vandy will make the third and manageable or third and short, or even the fourth and short now, because South Carolina hasn't shown they can consistently stop you on third down.
Here's a question I have about Pavia, and I'm curious for Willie's response. In the offseason, we talked a lot about Diego Pavia, especially during SEC Media Days. He was, to borrow Chase's word, a rock star. He brings a magnetism to the program that hasn't really been there before. But the one talking point was, hey, teams are not going to be caught off guard by Diego Pavia anymore. SEC teams know what to expect from Diego Pavia. And although Virginia Tech is a fine program, it isn't what it used to be. Also, no disrespect to Charleston Southern, but I think the same question that we were having about Joey Aguilar and how he performs against Georgia, do you think it also applies for Diego Pavia this week in Columbia?
I think Diego Pavia is going to be himself. I think what I've noticed so far about him in the 2 games is they have not had to lean on him. He has operated the offense very well, but they've been able to distribute the ball a lot more with confidence, right? It's not, when it's 3rd and 5, it's not like, well, we got to have Diego run it a couple of times here. He's got to find it. He's picked his spots to do that. He may have to do that more on Saturday, but he looks very relaxed. He doesn't look like he's had to be Mr. Bravado, or like, he looks like he's been very poised and experienced. I sort of like how he's done it, but I think he'll have to play even better. The team will have to play better. The biggest thing that has bogged down Vanderbilt is penalties. Their offensive line has committed a lot of holding penalties. We know South Carolina is going to have strong, a strong front that's going to get after you. they have to tidy up with their technique. They can't get 4 holding penalties and overcome it like they've been doing. But I do think that the road atmosphere in the league, Adam, is going to be more hostile towards Pavia than it was, say, in Blacksburg.
I'm sure it will be, but you know, you can quell that a little bit if you do the things that have made you successful the past 2 games. Now, again, the competition is a little bit stiffer than it has been the past 2 games, even though Virginia Tech, they're a okay team. They're not a great team. But Vanderbilt handled them pretty well. They had their spots within that game, but pretty much that was Vanderbilt's game after half. They went in, they took it, they came out, and they were more physical than Virginia Tech, and they just took the game from them. Can they do it again against a opponent that's better than Virginia Tech? And then, like you said, Pavia, they hadn't had to lean on him as much the first 2 games. I'm sure they're going to have to lean on him even more this game, but he can't forget about, Richardson and Stowers and Sherrill, Junior Sherrill. Those guys have made plays for him the past 2 games. He got to continue to lean on those guys. And when it's time to make a play, take off that jersey and let that cape flow. You got to do it. And he's proven he can do it.
Greg Roberts on our text line says, my favorite is that Willie can't say anything bad about Pavia, but has lots to say about Aguilar.
Hey, he didn't go to UT, okay?
What did I say? Did I say something bad about Aguilar?
I don't think you did.
It's a Cinderella story.
But even if he said something bad about UT, he didn't go to UT. He went to Vanderbilt, okay? That's like me saying something good about Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I don't care what anybody say. I'm not doing it.
Take that, Greg Roberts.
I say something good about Ohio State and their quarterback. I do that.
I don't know what I said to offend
Greg.
Let
or
us
Michigan
know.
State's quarterback.
I'll talk about Pavia all day if you want me to. I have lots to say about Pavia. I'm just saying he looks very relaxed,
out of line about Joey Aguilar.
He has built the confidence. The team has rallied around him. He looks like he's got confidence. He's gone from being an unknown. Am I going to play? What am I going to do? Nico's coming to UCLA. I thought I was going to be the guy at UCLA too. Here he is about to take College Game Day spotlight. People are selling number 6 jerseys.
And that's all true.
He's got the opportunity of a lifetime in front of him here. And it's been an amazing turn of events in 6 months. And it all was predicated on Nico's doing. It wasn't Aguilar. He was kind of caught up in the shuffle. But now there is Aguilar might be better than Nico. That's my storyline about Aguilar. If that offends, what's his name? Greg? Sorry, Greg. Sorry. That's my story.
I would say offend.
I can't believe you said that, Willie. That's just rude.
I can't imagine.
Offend UT.
I can't imagine Willie offending anybody. Like I just
Honestly,
can't. I can't picture it. I can't picture you offending anybody.
He just offended him.
I know.
Yeah.
It's shocking to me.
I think he can offend his kids with dad jokes.
Yeah,
that's probably the only thing.
But that's different.
That's a different type of offensive.
It is.
But you did offend him, Willie. You don't know how, but you did.
I can't help it.
Maybe he meant to type
D-Mace. Willie.
I tried to analyze.
Maybe he meant to say me because I was a little bit more critical of Aguilar. I was more so, and it wasn't really Aguilar. It was the system
Derek
for
was
me.
ticked off because he picked Syracuse.
Yes.
In the underdog picks. And Syracuse didn't bring much to the table.
So I'm going to be mad at UT for a minute.
Okay, but everybody was, that's a good example, though, because everybody was buzzing about Aguilar after the game against Syracuse. You were not as impressed as some. You just didn't think Syracuse was that good. And then that affected your pick last week.
Yeah.
The Orange almost had it. Almost.
But almost.
And the coach was so pissed about it after winning the game, he made his players run the field.
That's because he understands almost only works in what? Horseshoes and hand grenades. That's it.
615-737-1025. Maybe during the break we'll find out what what Willie said that offended Greg Roberts so much. If Willie has offended you in some way, 615-737-1025.
Please don't call, but text.
Just text.
Stir it up. Stir it up.
Just text. Willie screams to me as the kind of guy who, if he goes to a restaurant and his meal comes out cold, he's like, it's okay. They've got a hard job back there. I'll just pick around it.
Listen, it was meant to be cold.
That's That's the type of guy Willie Donick is. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's tell you about F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. We are off and running in our Take It to the Bank segment, which is Friday evenings to end the week at 5:45. I had a perfect first week, not perfect in the second week. I hope I'm still in the lead, but we're going to have to sort that out tomorrow. We have a great time with that, and it's brought to you by our friends in partnership with F&M Bank. 20 locations in our listening area. There's one near you. I'm pretty sure of it, regardless of where you're listening. Just go to myfmbank.com and find the nearest location. They've got 6 of them in Clarksville. They've got some as far north as Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And then they're right in the middle of your community, whether you're right on West End in Nashville, Mount Juliet, Springfield, Murfreesboro. They've got the area covered. myfmbank.com. Your business means more to them. They want to make your life finance-wise a lot easier, regardless of where you are on the financial spectrum. If you're a business owner, if you're just getting started, young married couple, they've got plans for all of you. myfmbank.com. We take it to the bank every Friday at 5:45. Equal housing lender.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. Talking the slate of college football this weekend. A much better slate of college football this weekend all around. 2 big games in our state. Georgia at Tennessee, Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Greg Roberts has yet to respond to what was so offensive about what Willie said about Joey Aguilar. One texter says it's the backwards hat.
The backwards hat.
I knew it was going to come into play.
That's had that we should have known. Yeah.
We should have known. I told you. People can't take you seriously when you wear your hat backwards.
Yeah, that's it. I hit a chord.
Jim from Springfield says, I've been watching Vanderbilt since 1982. And the last The second half last Saturday was the most dominant I've ever seen them look. Go Doors.
They did look good.
It was dominant. There's
Mhm.
no question.
They look good. But again, as the competition gets a little stiffer, you want them to be able to keep that same tempo and physicality moving forward. They're going to have to if they want to achieve some of the goals they set at the beginning of the season.
I do think that this is not me not saying anything bad about Pavia, right? That's the one I'm still not sure. But one thing that Vanderbilt has done a pretty good job of since Pavia has been the quarterback is because I think South Carolina is one of the underrated environments in college football. You don't think of South Carolina as having this great fan base like some of the other traditionals, Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama and Georgia. But South Carolina has a big stadium and a full house. That has been a tough place to play. They will have it rocking for this game because they know how big this game is. And this is their first big home game against the league opponent. But Pavia and his group, they've shown a pretty good, like it was rocking at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, I think, is like I said, a middling team. But they had a great atmosphere to start the game. It was empty by the end of the game based on what Vanderbilt did to them.
Obviously.
But last year, they went to Missouri. Missouri was ranked in the top whatever. Vanderbilt was able to show poise there. One of the big ones that you noted last year, Adam, after they beat Alabama, they went to Kentucky. Kentucky at the time had not fallen apart like they eventually did.
I believe Vanderbilt was a 13.5-point underdog.
They
in
were.
That game.
They were. And that place was sold out. Like Kentucky was in it. That was a hostile environment. So they've gone to some places, and Pavia has been able to play well. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen on Saturday, but he does have more help, I think. The defense is better as well. But I'm still curious about South Carolina because they were so good by the end of last year. There's a reason they're ranked number 11.
One texter who says he is a South Carolina fan says, if the South Carolina offensive line shows up, Vandy doesn't stand a chance. If it doesn't, Vandy can absolutely beat us. I am a South Carolina fan, and it's hard to play there, and it's at night. Like I said, if our O-line shows up, Vandy is in trouble.
Well, I mean, they got to show up, I guess. If you got to say if your offensive line shows up, that's not good.
Greg has responded.
Okay.
We got to get back to Greg.
Talk to me, Greg.
Greg Roberts, who said earlier, my favorite is that Willie can't say anything bad about Pavia, but has lots to say about Joey Aguilar. He responds, sorry, boys, I was driving. That's okay, Greg. He goes, I'm not offended. I love Willie. I do. I only caught the end of the talk on Tennessee. I caught the talk on Vandy. In past weeks, his words on Aguilar are more, he did all right, when Pavia performed similarly versus similar opponents. And then he says, you don't have to read it on the air. Well, oops, I just saw that.
You should have read that first.
I am really excited about both of these games because it's going to tell us a lot. And this is why we do what we do, right? Because somebody's going to come out of there. And that's what was so great about the Netflix Any Given Saturday is it just shows you the razor's edge of how close these games are. They had some of the games where South Carolina had a heartbreaking loss or LSU had a heartbreaking loss, and just the pain and the consequences because people care so much. We see what's going on with Alabama right now. And, the what would you like the firestorm when you lose a game like that? It does truly mean that much.
Did you see the viral clip of the woman in Alabama?
Yes, she won the Powerball.
If she won the Powerball, she would take the money it would take to buy out Kalen DeBoer.
And give
it to him.
You've got that kind of fandom.
Yes.
And then you've also got the human part that the Netflix thing did a great job where you had Shane Beamer's wife saying, if we lose, I don't go out. Like I don't walk around with people. And Shane Beamer also, I think his wife conveyed this. We have talked as a family of, hey, I got hired. It's just a matter of time before I get fired. It just is a matter of what year. This is the business, right? You're you condition your family, and they've got, they featured the kids, right, hanging out in the little booth, eating the family breakfast before school, trying to show that you have some kind of normalcy, but it's not normal, right? Because when you lose, everybody's out to get you, and people are going to start asking for your job. But that's what you sign up for.
You know what they say. It just means more.
It's interesting.
It's true.
No, I mean it may be true. I don't know. I think it means a hell of a lot at the Big Ten.
Sure
level.
It does. Sure it does.
In the Big Ten. That's just me.
But the Big Ten did not trademark that phrase.
We don't need to trademark.
So come up with something else.
National championship. Now hush. All right. But anyway, no. The SEC is damn good. Okay. I'm not gonna even mess with that. But it's interesting because we're talking about these two teams, UT and Vandy. You can throw South Carolina in there as well as Florida. 4 teams that seem to sort of, get better. Well, at least 2 of the 4, or 3 of the 4. And the question with each one of those teams coming into the season, well, could South Carolina pick up where they left off? Could Florida pick up where they left off? Well, we see it ain't starting too well for Florida. And then UT and Vandy. Can UT, because of their quarterback issue, can UT still remain a playoff caliber team? And can Vandy take another step? Well,
Yes.
you will see it this week with all 3 of these teams, Vandy, South Carolina, as well as UT.
Don't you think it's a little house money for Tennessee? Because I think all summer it was like, well, our quarterback left us high and dry, put us in a big pickle. Maybe we'll have a year where we'll go 8-4.
It depends on
reload. But if they win this game, all of a sudden it's like, hey, just beat Georgia. We could go back to the playoffs. This guy's better than Nico.
But it depends on if they do lose. I'm not saying for UT fans out there the UT will lose. I'm not saying that because I think in college football, especially, anything can happen. But say if UT does lose, to me, it's how did they lose? Was it still a close game and they probably lost like they did some years ago, a last-second pass? Did they lose that way? Or were they just basically outclassed on the field? Which one is it? Because I think if it's a close game and UT say lose by a field goal or something, people still feel good about the quarterback and what Heupel is doing. But if they get ramroded, I don't know. People are going to start backtracking a little bit.
But also you've got Georgia, and everybody's got their own
what is
struggles,
ramroded?
right?
I think you meant railroaded.
I mean, railroaded. That's what I said, ramroded.
Ramroded.
That's a new word.
It is. Speaking of new words, quickly, Willie, Wes from Hermitage texted in and said, from here on out, I will now be saying "obviously" instead of "obviously" to anything I can answer that way. Adam, when responding to Willie, I thought that's what you said by accident. Now I'm stealing that new word I invented. Example, will Vandy upset South Carolina? Obviously.
Hit the bell.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Go.
That's a T-shirt. But Georgia, look at their perspective. They've been the king of the mountain, right? They don't lose in the regular season. They're expected to be the national champions year after year. And now there's a few question marks, right? Like, can they still be that kind of big dog?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. This is their first test. They have not been tested. I think it's a great time for Tennessee to be a home dog, honestly. And then for Vanderbilt too, I do think after you have a great game at Vanderbilt, this is a traditional trap that Clark Lee knows better than anybody. But I say it all the time because I experienced this in Iowa. You have that great win. Everybody on campus, great job. Oh my God, that might have been the most dominant performance I've ever seen from a Vanderbilt team. If you walk into South Carolina and you think all of a sudden this means that you're just going to roll in there, that's when you get your block knocked off, right? So they have to keep that edge, the chip on their shoulder that has made them a better team, right? They've got to keep that underdog mentality.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Vandy at South Carolina, Georgia at Tennessee. Any other SEC game you want to talk about? There are some interesting ones. Wisconsin visits Alabama. Texas A&M visits Notre Dame. Some good college football games across the country, but also especially in the SEC. Obviously, Wes. But coming up next, we'll bring in Jonathan Hutton. We'll talk more about college football. We'll also talk about the Tennessee Titans with our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick. That's coming up next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5 The Game. D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A reminder that Silly Underdog Picks is coming up in the next segment. If you are chosen to represent the people this week and you win, you will win a pair of tickets to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at First Bank Amphitheater on Sunday, September 21st. So if you want a chance at those tickets, be listening later this hour. But before we get there,
somebody was commenting about
Papa Roach.
Papa Roach being a little old.
Yes.
Alice Cooper or Judas Priest, man, they're still rocking it, man. So don't worry about Papa Roach.
Alice Cooper is a spry 77 years old.
Only 77.
Just
A
77.
young
A
77.
young 77. That's right. Let's bring in our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton with
Yeah.
on
What's up, guys?
Outkick. Hello, Hutton. I'll let you choose your own adventure here. Do you want a college football question or a Titans question?
Oh, let's go Titans. Oh, well, I mean, is there even college football this week in this city? What's talking about, right?
Do you think the praise for Cam Ward around the country after his performance on Sunday is bordering on or has exceeded hyperbole? Because I have heard Dan Orlovsky, and I've heard Louis Riddick, and I've heard the Athletic Football Show, and they are all loving the tape on Cam Ward. And I know that Cam Ward's stat line is not a reflection of how he actually played on Sunday. But do you think it's been a little bit much, the praise that Cam Ward has received around the country for his performance on Sunday?
You know, maybe a little bit, but I think in large part, Adam, it's because they're just coming around to Cam Ward. You know, like I'm thinking about it. I liked a lot of what I saw. I was very encouraged. It's one of the few things that you come out of that game with where I'm like, Ward, to me, is not the issue. The first third down completion, that they need more of that in this offense. The pass that he had later in the game across his body, but was it Ridley he went back to? A great throw across the field. Surprising maybe only to me, but he did not have a rushing attempt in this game. And, you know, the Denver defense is stout. It was best in the league last year. He did not receive help up front from his pass catchers. They had like a 10.7 drop rate in week one. That was only the Cowboys were worse in week one. He was pressured a league high 53% of his dropbacks. So, I mean, with all of that being considered and saying that he wasn't the reason why they went to Denver and lost. I mean, if the players around him step up, the rookie ends up winning in week one, and that's normally not the case. That's just players and coaches, not just players.
So let me ask you the college football question I would have asked you if had you
Okay, go
chosen
ahead.
that one first.
Okay.
What will you be watching most closely in Georgia versus Tennessee on Saturday?
Well, it to me, it's more than just the quarterbacks. I want to see Josh Heupel scheme some things for Boo Carter. I don't know why you keep that dude on your team if you don't unleash him in this game. I don't want to point out every time he's on the field he's getting the football. I'm not saying that, but there's a reason why you need him, and the reason why he wants to be Travis Hunter of the SEC. Let the guy go do it against Georgia. That they need things like that, and on top of that, you know, you're down your corners. We'll see what happens up front on the defensive line. I want to see what they can come up with, especially late in the game, where Vegas and everyone else and talk around here, everyone's expecting a close game. I think the line's like 3.5. If that's the case, the fourth quarter, the war of attrition when it comes to injuries, right now Tennessee's losing that battle. So I want to see who steps up and who can make a play, because right now Georgia's got the advantage at wide receiver and at quarterback in that moment. And especially the run game, if Tennessee's going to be down what they seem to be right now in the middle of the defensive front.
You're right about, people finally getting a chance now to look at Cam Ward, because it seems like they were preoccupied with a lot of other things, especially.
They can't watch Shador, man.
Yeah, they can't watch Shador. They've already seen what Travis Hunter did.
Right.
Now they finally have come up for air and decided to look at the number 1 pick. And you're
Yep.
right. I think he played okay. I think he can get
Yeah.
a lot better. I think his timing needs to speed up a little bit.
Totally
But
agree.
even with all of that, the story wasn't him. The story was Brian Callahan. We haven't heard what your thoughts are on Brian. So what are they? Because we've said what we had to say, and we've had a bunch of texters and callers talk about Brian Callahan a lot, saying that he's not the guy. But then you have some guys that saying, guys and girls that text and call in and say, hey, give him, continue to give him a shot. Be patient with him. Where do you stand with Brian Callahan?
Well, I mean, I don't want to fire him today,
Mhm.
but I mean, it's headed down that path. Quite frankly, guys. I mean, look, game 18. If we're just being honest with everything, draft, develop, retain. A lot of this is develop. We should be seeing development from the head coach and the coaching staff. In this game, they go on the road. Offensively, they have 30 yards in the second half. Their final 7 possessions lost 54 yards. We can go through all these different things, but ultimately, the offense of Brian Callahan has to be better than a terrible, measly 2.5 yards per play on third down on pass plays. On first down, they're barely worst in the league in that regard too. So, look, I don't see the offense, Mace. I don't see an offense that, to me, just works. It's all of a sudden hits a second gear, third gear. They don't have the players to push the ball downfield as much as they are. There are ways I think you can help Cam Ward moving forward by just taking what's there, and maybe he misses on a few of those when you watch the tape back. But I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I would dictate where the ball's going to go just based on the play call. And when you realize that they're pushing the ball downfield at a rate that is not anywhere close to what they should be doing, that's not good for a rookie quarterback who doesn't have an offensive line right now or a right tackle based on the injury report, and a team that has 13 penalties for 131 yards in week 1. I mean, that's a league high. That's what he stressed all offseason. That was all these group settings and team building exercise. That was going to help the penalty. It's right back to what it was. Ultimately, the question is this: does the locker room buy in to Callahan? That's what it comes down to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see the same mistakes and the same issues, and 70% of their offensive sets and reach third down, 35% of their sets produced a new first down. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. It doesn't matter the quarterback. And then on top of all of that, they still could have won the game. I don't understand what happened right before half, which is more egregious to you guys.
Oh, before the half was more egregious.
But before the half, I'm sorry. Which is more egregious? The way that he treated the end of the half, throwing the football from the end zone, or not knowing the rule. I have gone back and forth on this.
I would say before the half.
I think before the half.
You're in a silent count. You're putting your rookie back against the end zone on the road. There's no Denver's getting the football to begin the second half. There is no reason to push the issue. No.
And I think I would say on the other front, Hut,
go ahead.
If on the not knowing the rule, in theory, if your operating system, if you've surrounded yourself with the right people, you don't have to know rules, even though that's one he should know that rule. But in theory, he may not have seen. You're always on a challenge going to be relying on the people who are it's the old you have one job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what let him down there. I don't put that on him, but his decision in the back in the end of the half,
but Willie,
that is much more egregious, I think.
This is an offensive coach who, here's how I would equate this. There are certain stories in the Bible that if you're a pastor, you just know. Like you can go from anywhere from Job to Daniel in the lion's den, right? But the elbow equaling 2 feet is something that dude's got to know.
But he may not see that. Like, depending on where he was, it's a guy in the booth should be saying challenge. Like, that's all I'm listening to.
He may not see that, but he said that one elbow needs another foot.
Right. What he said got him in a lot of trouble.
Right.
No question about it. That was
and
very
I think
poor
that
media
was the
relations.
most truthful response, honestly, from him. I don't look. I really have a hard time believing that someone's full-time job, like what your only job is that up in the booth, not knowing that rule. That's really, really bad. That's very telling about this whole thing. If that's the case, like I respect Callahan for not throwing anyone on the bus, but at the same time, he also is exactly right. The buck stops with him. I can't explain it. That especially given the fact, I mean, as long as the Titans have been here, they've had coaches that know the rule book in and out. Vrabel was very good at that. Fisher was very. This is something that just like this isn't like an interpretation by an official. This is just like, are you inbounds or not? It's really bad.
Well,
and that's indicative of just the experience of everything here.
Yeah, and those are things that you expect an offensive-minded guy to know.
Right.
I just think it was one of those situations. It's another pressure situation where you came out on the wrong end of it. Whereas a head coach, you should know that question is going to be asked of you at the podium. You do not say, and I repeat, you do not say, I don't know the rule. You don't say that. You say, as a head coach, listen, I didn't want to challenge it because I didn't see it. Time was running down, whatever. We just didn't get to it. I take it. That's my bad. I know I should have challenged it, but I didn't. But to say you didn't know the rule, that's malpractice right there. I believe as a head coach, you just can't do some things we shouldn't know.
Totally. Yep. And so this leads me to maybe this is fair or unfair. You guys can tell me. But would Callahan and his staff have handled the end of the game the same way Minnesota's staff did in Chicago? I doubt it. Just based on this.
That guy's the hottest coach going right now.
Oh yeah,
I totally agree.
He looks like a genius.
But he made sure that there were no issues in winning that game. The coach got in the way here, and hey, I heard a caller on the station earlier today bring up the point, and I thought it was a good one. It may have been Robbie and Retro with PK. The fact that he's talking about that in Chicago last year, we could have literally. He's talking about his team. We could have literally just handed off and punted every single possession and won the game had the quarterback not screwed up. And that's really what Denver allowed them to do. And they still leave there 0-1, and Denver did everything possible to hand that game away.
Adam looked it up. When you're +3 in turnovers, you win 93% of the time. So it's
since 2000.
Since
least 2000.
Since 2000. I'd say that's a pretty good sample size. What did you have, like 1,200 games or something?
1,274 examples. 92.5 winning percentage.
That was the BAG stat of the day yesterday. Yes. The big ass glasses.
+3. It had been since like 2022, I think 2021 or 2022, since the defense had been +3 like that, and they had 5 possessions in opponent territory that started in opponent. They still only scored 12 points. Like, man, it is it's a rough way to start the season considering the stress that they put on certain things throughout the offseason. It's more than just Callahan not knowing the rule. But when you see the penalties and the offensive line now hurt on right tackle, there are things that it feels like 2024.
Jonathan Hutton is with us. And Hut, do you think this is a great situation for Tennessee to be in as a home dog? Because there's a little bit of house money, right? I can remember asking Chad a couple weeks ago before the season started, hey, if you got through the season at 9-3, I mean, that's great based on all of the adversity you were thrown with the timing of the whole Nico thing. Now you're sitting there only a 3.5-point dog against Georgia. Georgia, maybe for the first time in a couple years, you may disagree, looks a little more gettable. Tell me what you think.
I agree. I had them in the playoff, but I don't have them high in the playoff this year. Like at some point, there's there has to be some teams that, if they not catch up to Georgia necessarily, but close the gap just based on NIL and the transfer portal. Tennessee's not fully there, but they have 5 stars. They've got certain players that should be again. They're capable, and I don't get the sense that it's like Alabama from 2022. Now I'll regret saying that whenever they tear down the goalpost on Saturday, but I'm not so sure that Tennessee fans are just so certain that this is for the taking because of Kirby Smart and what he's done against Josh Heupel. There have been flashes of decent play, but what they haven't thrown for a touchdown since 2021 against Georgia. That's a while. It's 2021 or 2022.
Are you buying in though the narrative that seems to be gaining steam because he's done so well that Aguilar, if he's not more talented than Nico, to put that aside, but with his experience and his understanding of the game being a little bit older, might be a better operator of the offense?
Well, in his we're going to find out if he can be rattled, because now the schedule cranks up here. But I mean, there are going to be some pressure moments where he steps up and makes the play or not, right? To make the right read or not. And he's not afraid to throw across the middle. I want to see the tight ends get more involved here. Again, I mentioned Carter. They're capable, Willie, but again, I look at the Tennessee defense and I wonder what happens in the second half when things start to wear down. Can Aguilar continue the momentum if they get some going early when things settle into this game? And by and large, I'm not expecting a shootout by any means. When things settle in, when the real game starts, does he execute what Heupel's doing? And does Heupel put him in situations that are going to be beneficial to him in some moments where he's up against a solid front that's going to be playing in the NFL in a year or two? I'm impressed with what I've seen, yes. But I will say the bar was set very low for me because of just the situation. So I'm trying to be fair to him. He's been very good considering the circumstances and how quickly he came in and took over. I think he's well liked by his teammates and by the staff for sure. And we find out if they're going to start calling him Joey Football starting on Saturday.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, as he is every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Hutton, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Yeah, final thought. L'Jarius Sneed, allow that dude to play in the second half. Thank you.
Well said, Jonathan Hutton.
All right. Hey, underdogs, I'll be listening.
Okay.
No doubt.
Well, you heard the man. Week 3 of Silly Underdog Picks is coming up next. Remember, not in this next segment, but in the following segment. We will give you an opportunity to represent the people. If you are that person and you pick correctly, you will win a pair of tickets to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at First Bank Amphitheater on Sunday, September 21st. So listen to the cue to call at the end of the next segment if you want to represent the people this week. Silly Underdog Picks is next. Willie Donick. Oh, God, give me the break. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers, and insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingen, and Donick 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. It's Wednesday. It's 5:24 p.m. That means it's time for Silly Underdog Picks Week 3, presented by our friends at Volunteer Hose and Gasket. It is now my honor to turn the proceedings over to the one and only Commissioner Willie Donick.
Oh, Willie D, Willie D. Ooh, 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 Willie. Oh, Willie D.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your commissioner speaking. Welcome to another session of Silly Underdog Picks 2025, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Year number 31 of this fine competition. And what a great Saturday night it was. All of the games happening, texting going back and forth, the excitement. I can tell you that we hit a season high of my phone buzzing when South Florida was lining up to kick the game-winning field goal against Florida. It was great. And then later in the evening, as Mississippi State and Arizona State were going down to the wire, that was classic underdog stuff. So we are off and running in this competition. Willie Donick here with you. We are pleased to be joined by our contestants, of course, Adam and Derek here in the studio. Skillsy, the rookie, Hal Gill, on the eve of rookies reporting to Predators training camp, and with a win under his belt, he is riding high, and he is not calling from the beaches of Maine. I didn't even know Maine had beaches, really, but Hal was up there last week, but he has returned to Nashville. Hal, how are you?
I'm doing great. I was on the lake in Maine, in the middle of Moosehead Lake. You can't beat it, bud. But I'm back in the real world, back in Nashville, and back in the heat.
Back in the heat. I guess anywhere's got heat compared to Moosehead Lake or whatever.
It's a little chilly up there.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, now, Adam, where is the defending champion? Is Chris Sanders. He has been reporting in. I thought we had made a motion over on the Montgomery Bell Academy campus that practice is to end no later than 5:18.
Well, Chris Sanders has spoken to David James.
He has.
David, where are we with Chris Sanders?
He said he will call back in 5 minutes because they're about to end practice, and he wanted me to let you guys know you all stink like corn.
I didn't know corn stink.
Well, I hope that Chris gave you his selection, David.
He did.
Because Chris is second, and if he ain't here, you're making it for him.
Okay.
Willie,
we have a backup plan.
Let us recap week 2 of Silly Underdog Picks.
Week 2. As we mentioned, Hal Gill from Moosehead Lake selected the South Florida Bulls. He was considering them in week 1 when they upset Boise State, and they throttled Boise State. They were a 17.5-point dog in the swamp against Florida. An extremely exciting game, unless you're a Florida fan.
True.
Let's paint the picture. South Florida hanging around in the game. They get a almost miraculous bomb to take the lead. Then they fall behind 16-15. They're trying to mount a game-winning drive. They catch a break when a Florida Gator spits in the face, Jalen Carter style, to give the Bulls 15 yards. Then a swing pass to the outside. It looks like the Gators have the guy bottled up. He breaks down the sideline for about 30 yards, and USF is able to milk the clock and kick the game-winning field goal as time expires. So Hal's first career win as an underdog contestant finishes 18-16. How can you describe your feelings as you saw the Bulls get the victory?
Well, it was a tough one because I met my sister for dinner, and they didn't have it on the TV at the restaurant, so I was on my phone.
So you were still in Maine?
I was in Boston.
You were in Boston. Don't they have TVs in the package in Boston? Come on.
You know what? SEC Network isn't the biggest thing up there. I don't know why they didn't have it, but I had it on my phone. And, there's a lot of people looking around at me wondering why I'm losing my mind. A couple margaritas in, and, I was fired up. What a turn of events. What a game. What a way to win. What a way to get your first one.
Oh, yes.
And you always remember your first, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what people say. That brings us to, speaking of firsts, Adam Vingen had his first victory as well of the season in his sophomore year.
Grow up.
He had
No,
Mississippi State.
Willie, because Willie's like, yep. You remember this one?
Wait, did you just say I had my first in my sophomore year?
No, your first win in your sophomore year.
Oh, because it was actually my junior year of high school, I think.
We're talking about two different things here.
Okay.
Oh,
I was talking about the
oh
underdog.
man.
I was talking about the underdog.
Okay, all right, I get it.
Adam's
Come on, put it back on the rails, fellas. Put it back on the rails.
State. They were rocking in Starkville. They had the ranked Arizona State Sun Devils, the defending Big 12 champs. The Cowbells were going crazy. Mississippi State, a 6.5-point home dog. They jump up 17-0. Everything's looking great. It looked like they were going to finish the half, not giving a point. Arizona State starts creeping back in the game. They score the next 20 points. 30 seconds to go. Mississippi State fades back, and they hit Brendan Thompson for a 58-yard touchdown, and Starkville goes bananas. And Adam gets the victory.
Sure do. It was getting a little hairy there.
It had gone beyond Harry. You were behind.
I did have a Coach Willie moment
You a
because
Sasquatch.
because Nick Frazier, noted Mississippi State fan, texted me saying, "Hey, great start for the Bulldogs," and I said, "Don't you dare say that." But fortunately, the Bulldogs pulled it out, so I am on the board.
Yes.
Ding! You know who's not on the board? Derek Mason.
I ain't worried about it.
We'll get to Derek in a second. The
The
defending champion, Chris Sanders, much more calm, cool, and collected in week 2 when after the discombobulated pick in week 1. He took Stanford, which is a very Chris Sanders type of pick. Stanford has been good to him.
Mm-hmm.
He likes big underdogs. Stanford, which plays in
The Atlantic Coast Conference.
or 20.5-point dogs at BYU, and they were not in the game.
It wasn't even close.
They were shut out until the fourth quarter. They did kick a field goal to lose 27-3, but Chris goes big. He goes big for the underdogs. He will go for the bombs. It worked very well for him last year. Did not work in week 2. Then there's D-Mace. Now this was classic underdog heartbreak.
This is what the game is about.
So I'm going to ask D-Mace to take us through these moments. UConn is a 6.5-point dog at Syracuse. We made sure he knew that this was not a Big East matchup between Emeka Okafor and Jimmy Boeheim and like the great
Ronnie
basketball
Cycli.
that, yeah. UConn is leading the game in the fourth quarter, 17-6.
Mm-hmm.
D-Mace is looking good, but Syracuse, who did D-Mace dirty in week 1, he picked Syracuse, who got ripped by Tennessee. Syracuse makes the comeback and wins 27-20 in overtime. Then the coach makes them run sprints after the game on their own field because he was upset that it took that long. So D-Mace, the heartbreak. What was that like? It slipped through your finger.
By the way, we have Chris
Quit
Sanders.
crying.
Good.
Quit crying.
Hi, Chris.
Man,
Quit crying.
the heartbreak. It was why y'all couldn't do that last week. That's all I would say. Like, why y'all couldn't do this last week? Y'all want to do it? That's a sign of a not good team. They should have did this last week.
Were you able to watch the game, or were you just
a little
following
bit
the
of
score?
it? No, a little bit of it. But they are not a good team. I thought they were a good team. They showed me they were a bad team against UT, and then they act as if they know how to play football now. Give me a break.
So the standings after week 2. Yes, Chris Sanders times it up just in time to heckle D-Mace as we recap his pick.
Man, is that Mace whining again?
He's owed
Cheese and crackers with that.
Mace, do I need to rock you to sleep, man?
Chris, did you stay up late to watch any of the Stanford game against BYU?
Man, after like 2 minutes, I'm like, this is over, so I went to sleep. So Stanford's their quarterback position is bad.
It didn't go well for the Cardinal. All right, so after 2 weeks, Hal was 17.5, off to the early lead. Adam in second was 6.5. Chris and D-May still looking to get on the board in week 3. So the order of operation this week, Adam will have the first pick, followed by Chris Sanders, then D-Mace, and then Hal in the cleanup position. So we start off week 3 with the sophomore, Adam Vingan.
Having the first pick is tough because the world of college football is your oyster. And there are some interesting games this weekend. I could ride the hot hand with South Florida. They're going for their third consecutive win against a ranked opponent against Miami. Miami is a 17.5-point favorite. Texas A&M is at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 6.5-point favorite, but I'm staying close to home.
Oh,
I am taking the Vanderbilt Commodores to upset the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks on Saturday. Since I refreshed my computer, the line on this game has moved. It was South Carolina minus 5.5. I'm now seeing South Carolina minus 4.5. So regardless of what it is, I'm just looking to keep piling points here. So I will take Vanderbilt to defeat South Carolina on Saturday.
Vanderbilt, and you're right, this line has moved. Vanderbilt, as I look at CBS Sports, which is our go-to, I swear when I looked at this an hour ago, it was 4.5, and now it's 4. But I have to go with what it is in the real time.
Okay.
So it is a 4-point dog at South Carolina, ranked 11th in the country, Saturday night on SEC Network, 6:45 p.m.
My rationale, they've had a common opponent, Virginia Tech. Vanderbilt was more impressive than South Carolina against Virginia Tech. And we saw last year that Vanderbilt, after the Commodores defeated Alabama, their heads did not get too big. They went on the road to Kentucky and upset the Wildcats. So I'm not concerned about Clark Lee and his team feeling themselves going to South Carolina against Lenore Sellers and the Gamecocks. So it's only 4 points, but hey, I'm just going to keep compiling points here. I will take the Commodores against the Gamecocks.
Okay. That brings us to Chris Sanders for pick number 2.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
I hope you lose. I hope your pick gets beat by 1,000,000 points.
Chris, have you ever karaoke'd this song like in front of
Yes,
a big...
I did. Yeah.
How did it go?
I did. I got booed off.
You think?
Throwing rocks at me.
You think?
Yeah, but here's where I take the lead at.
Okay.
I am going with Purdue over USC.
Dang. Oh, I wanted that game.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. You actually wanted this?
Yes, I wanted that game. That was one of the games I had.
Yeah, why? Why?
Why? Oh, I hate you.
Yeah, I love thee. How can I count the ways, D-Mays?
So second straight week, and this is a surprise to nobody. Chris is going for the big dog, Purdue, who has not been a good team, but they are 2-0.
Oh,
and they're a 20.5-point home dog against USC, the other USC, Southern Cal, who plays in the Big Ten somehow. So this is a Big Ten game. But I saw a stat earlier in this year from last year, the first year that USC and UCLA, there was the records were not good of teams doing the big travel. And you guys know what it's like as NFL players when you got to go all the way out to the West Coast.
And that's one reason why I wanted to pick that game. That's the reason why I wanted to pick that game, because I had to travel all the way to, was it West Lafayette?
Have your phone on.
Shush.
That game is a 2:30 game, so we won't have to stay up all night to watch that one.
True
and that is on CBS, so that's the CBS game of the week. All right, that brings us to pick number 3. D-Mace will have to cross that one off and go deeper on the depth chart.
I'm not worried about it.
I like that.
He seems confident. Man. He seems confident.
I'm very confident now. Okay. Chris took what would have been pick A1 or pick A. I got a choice. I thought about the A&M game. I'm like, nah, I just don't trust it yet with A&M, even though I do believe they're going to beat Notre Dame. But you got to go to South Bend, and that's a tough place to play. So I decided, well, since fortunes aren't going well in Cali, let me pick the Lobos then. It doesn't seem like UCLA will win any games anytime soon. The Lobos played Michigan pretty good. They came back in. They beat Idaho State, I believe they played. Good team, not a great team, but I don't think UCLA is a good team at all. I don't think they got anything rectified in the last 2 weeks. I think it's going to be another disappointing game for the quarterback as well as the team. And I'm predicting the Lobos to win this one. I will get my, 17? No, it's 20-some points.
It's 15.5.
Damn.
That's still pretty good.
That's still good. I need it. So I'm taking the Lobos. Let's go.
New Mexico.
The
University of New Mexico, which has been among the dregs of Division I-A football, if you still call it that, FBS. They have really struggled.
Yes.
But they're 1-1. And you talk about struggles. UCLA 0-2. They've looked very, very bad in the first 2 games, but they're playing in the Rose Bowl on the Big Ten Network at 9:00. So that would be some nice late night entertainment for us.
Just call Derek Sheriff Lobo this weekend.
And as David Ubben from the Athletic put, it's been fun entertainment for Tennessee fans so far to watch their team win and then flip over to UCLA's game on Saturday night for some late night entertainment to watch Nico not do so well. So that is D. Mace's pick, which brings us to Hal Gill, the leader in the competition right now, coming off the big win. Let's see what he's got for week 3.
What in the world?
That's nice. That's nice.
What?
When you were drinking the margaritas, Hal, after you said, what, did you request this song in the bar, the Purple Hat? Did you have everybody dance to the Purple Hat on the tables?
It's just something that I could never walk out to. I'd be the laughing stock. It's not me, but I love it anyway, so I'll take it. Hey, you know what? This has been a tough week for me. I'll be honest with you. I think I wanted Vandy first. I feel like that was a good call. Hey, they swept the barn, like sweep the shed, like they cleaned up the locker room after they're back to business. And I think they're going to pull that one off. So I need to get some points. So I can't ride the Bulls anymore, although that was talked about. So I got to go with Florida, going to LSU and throwing a beat down. I have big intel that from one Lindsey Rowley that says that the quarterback is a stud and he's going to win it. And so I'm looking for a big-time performance in a big game.
Okay.
Very interesting psychology here with Florida looking to bounce back.
That was in my view, that Florida,
I think that's 7.5, right, Willie?
It is. Florida is a 7.5-point dog down on the Bayou at LSU, 6:30 game, just the way LSU fans like the night game, the Death Valley. On ABC. So prime time, Florida had a huge win late in the season last year against LSU, and it kind of knocked Florida played the spoiler. They knocked LSU out of the playoffs, then they knocked Ole Miss out of the playoffs with that late surge that saved Billy Napier's job. And now, after last week and the spitting and the loss, they've got it on the line here. So let's see how they bounce back. But yes, I do like their quarterback a lot. So let's see if they can pull off the win against Brian Kelly and LSU. So let's recap the picks from week number 3. All right. Week 3, silly underdog picks, 2025. Games will be played. Adam Vingan, after the win last week against Arizona State, he will stay with the SEC, and he will go with Vanderbilt, a 4-point dog at South Carolina.
Good pick.
South Carolina ranked 11th, throttled Vanderbilt in Nashville last year. What does Vanderbilt have in store after their big win in Blacksburg? Chris Sanders stays in the Big Ten and goes Purdue, a 20.5-point home dog against USC, traveling across the country to West Lafayette. D-Mace, looking for his first win of the season, selects the Lobos of New Mexico, a 15.5-point dog at UCLA in the Rose Bowl against Nico and the Bruins. 9:00 start on Saturday night. And then Hal Gill, trying to build off of a huge win at the expense of the Florida Gators This week, he takes the Florida Gators, a 7.5-point dog on the road in Baton Rouge against the LSU Tigers. Prime time down in Death Valley. The people will pick next. Remember, you can call 615-737-1025, and you can make a people's pick. And if you win a prize. Those are our picks for the Silly Underdog Competition 2025, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Gentlemen, good luck.
Hey, guys, I love all of y'all, but I hope y'all team lose by 1,000,000 points. I do. From here on out, hope y'all don't get no more victories. I said my piece.
Well, we'll see. Now it's time for you to pick. 615-737-1025. The first caller will represent the people. And if you correctly predict the Silly Underdog of your choice this week, you will win a pair of tickets to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at First Bank Amphitheater on Sunday, September 21st. So call us now, 615-737-1025. The people's pick is next. We'll wrap up the show as well. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. There's my headphones. There we go. Little technical difficulty there. D. Mace Vingan and Donick 1025 the game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. It's time for the people's pick on silly underdog picks. Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com and welcome in Casey. Casey, welcome to the competition. What is your selection for this week?
All right, guys, thanks. Well, someone stole my pick. I was going to go with Florida, but this one's not as sexy, but I'm going to pick Bowling Green over Liberty.
Bowling Green over Liberty. Thank
Eddie
you,
George
Casey.
and the Fighting Falcons.
We have a line
action
on that game.
We got some action. Bowling Green
Is
let's pull it up. Is a 6.5-point home dog.
Yes.
Against Liberty.
The Flames.
At
Okay.
Dwight L. Perry Stadium.
All right.
Have you talked to Eddie George here recently?
No, I haven't spoken with him.
They're
No, I
1-1.
haven't spoke with them.
They're 1-1 on the year. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what old Eddie George can do. We'll have to thank Eddie on the air if Casey gets the victory for the people.
Yes.
Well, good luck, Casey. And if Casey wins, he will win a pair of tickets to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at First Bank Amphitheater on Sunday, September 21st. Matt texted in and said, "Do you only give tickets to geriatric acts on this show?" No, I wouldn't say that Papa Roach is a geriatric act. I mean, their peak was roughly 15, 20 years ago, I would say, but they're not geriatric yet.
No.
And we mix in all ages.
Yeah, we don't care.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Call in.
Of entertainment. Yeah.
We don't care. 8 to 80. We don't care.
I see where he's going with that because, if he's only listened, we've only been on, for a few weeks here. I don't know if we've mixed in. We need to talk to some of our promotions people. Let's mix in some younger acts.
I mean, how old are the members of Judas Priest? They're probably roughly in their 70s, right?
Oh, it's gotta be.
Yes.
Gotta be.
And Alice Cooper, 77.
Listen,
good for them.
Good music, good bands, they're timeless, man.
That's right.
Good groups, they're timeless. So 70 or 27.
One of the funny lines in a great movie, Almost Famous.
Great movie.
Jimmy Fallon is the new promotions guy that comes in. He's going to be the new manager that's going to take the band to the next level. And he was like, "You got to get what you can right now while you can get it. If you think Mick Jagger," the movie takes place in the 70s, right? He says, "If you guys think Mick Jagger is going to be shaking his thing in the 80s, you guys are sorely mistaken." And of course,
wrong.
The movie was from 2000, so obviously Mick Jagger led the charge. They were touring when he was 80, probably, right?
Yes.
Man, listen, good bands, good groups. They don't age. Look at New Edition.
You just keep going.
You can throw New Edition
New
on the
Edition's
stage
still
anywhere,
going.
and they still don't matter how old they are.
I
Mick
love
Jagger,
seeing
anybody.
I love seeing some old timey acts.
Yeah.
Their hair is a little thinner.
What was the group that played a couple of weeks ago, and the guy was super an older gentleman? Gosh, we get that group.
I don't know.
We've given out tickets to so many for so many acts.
Randy says,
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart. Yeah.
Rod Stewart.
Maybe that's where the texture was going. We have had a pretty good
yeah,
run.
we have had a good run of some octogenarian rockers on the program.
Hey, but is it still good music?
Maybe
you gotta
we
play
should
it.
turn the dial down a little bit. Do we have any Sabrina Carpenter tickets to give away? She's coming to the Bridgestone
Bump
Arena.
down that
I think.
average age a little bit.
Yes. Randy says he saw Alice Cooper at the Municipal Auditorium in 1975.
Wow. Goodness.
Oh,
man, I was 1 year old, man. Goodness.
I'm not sure my parents knew each other in 1975.
Goodness.
Oh,
Goodness.
man.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Yeah.
It's like wine.
Did we get an injury report on the Titans?
Now, if I recall correctly, the Titans waited until the Broncos released their injury report last week to unveil theirs. And of course, since the LA Rams are 2 hours behind,
they don't have to do it.
I don't know if they've done it yet.
So the Titans will not do theirs until.
Oh, wait a minute.
Do we have one?
That was
we have a
just
Titans versus Broncos injury report. That's not. No,
Yeah,
that is no longer
that's
relevant.
no longer relevant.
It could be relevant.
That is no longer relevant. JC Latham did not practice today.
We need to watch that one.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. So I guess we won't get an injury report before the show goes off the air because the Rams haven't had to release theirs yet. Titans are doing that,
That's
I
a good
guess.
part of living on the West Coast, huh?
Mm-hmm. There's some nice things about living on the West Coast.
Yeah, there is. Just the weather.
Mm-hmm.
He said, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if their first long road trip will take a little bite out of them. I hope that they can manage And we are going to talk about what we think we're going to see atmosphere-wise, too, for the home opener. Usually, just like in baseball, you've got even the worst attendance teams usually sell out on opening day. So I think they're going to have a good crowd, but the Rams don't have the national following that the Packers or the Cowboys or the Steelers have, and they don't even have the regional bump that usually Indianapolis or
they may get it
from
from fans in St. Louis that may want to travel.
I've always been wondering, like, I don't think the people in St. Louis.
You think they're just done with
I think they're done. I think they're done. I don't think they come in there with Kurt Warner jerseys or anything. I think they're bitter,
especially now that they've won a Super. Yeah, they've won a Super Bowl in LA.
Yep.
So
I feel like that is. I think they don't want to support. It's like Houston fans, like when they weren't coming up to Nashville, saying go
Tennessee,
go Tennessee Oilers. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm still with them. I don't think so.
We will be live at First Horizon Park tomorrow as part of the Sound's final home stand of the season. I will be participating in some sort of between innings contest during the game tomorrow. Who knows what it is? We'll see. But that'll do it for us. Reminder, Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt tight end, will join us in the first hour. We'll continue the conversation on Titans, Rams, college football, you name it. We will cover it all starting tomorrow at 3:00.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Wednesday. I love you. We love you. Peace.